So remember that they're changing my voice. So this is Romans 3, and I'm going to skip Romans 4. So this part 3 is going to cover Romans 3 and 4, because we're not going to go over 4. And Romans 3, we're only going to go over verses like 9, and there's like 4 or 5 verses here. So Romans 3, verse 9. What shall we conclude then? Do we have any advantage? Not at all. For we have already made the charge that Jews and Gentiles alike are all under the power of sin. So is salvation through Israel in terms of Israel in this world? No. Galatians 4 says Israel in this world is lost in sin. And that Galatians are Paul's letters, right, to the Galatians. Paul's letters to the Romans, right? Romans, I'm not mistaken, that's why it's called Romans. Romans 3 here says that Jews and Gentile alike are all under the power of sin. So if you believe that you should follow someone because of their flesh, who's under the power of sin, instead of following me, who's established and thrown in righteousness and has proven it, and all the rest of the world has no viable counterargument, then you're following the devil. Is there another way to look at it? Am I wrong to go over this again and again when it's your main mistake? I am the way. If you don't obey God through me, there's no going to heaven. For it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks good. Okay, when it was written, it's talking about the prophet complaining to God, saying, no one here is righteous, no one seeks good. They're all wicked. They're not talking about me. All have turned away. Let me go to verse 12 there. All have turned away. They have together become worthless. There was no one who does good, not even one. So when a female who has turned from God thinks that she's above me, that she's above submitting to me, not only does she think that she should not date me if she's not in submission, but she thinks that she is above me. She thinks that she shouldn't submit. She thinks that she's not made worthless. She thinks that she's above me, and she's worthless. All have turned away. They have become worthless. She has become worthless. She does not do good. Why have they become worthless? Because they're not doing good. Because faith without works is dead, like it says in James. When you look at it, dating, it really puts it in perspective. So I'm sure everyone feels cheated to some degree when it comes to dating, unless they've completely lost their mind. Are you in the divine order with your soulmate living a perfect life? Is the governing class's fixation on sexual control and the control of dating not a main reason why? One of the main reasons, at least. So, when you don't do the good of submitting to me, which is submitting to the essence of righteousness, because the essence of righteousness, which is God, the source of righteousness, guides me and leads me. And God set me apart. Psalm 2. He set me apart. The stone in Zion, the cornerstone. The stone the builders rejected. Those with foolish hearts who are foolish builders, they rejected me. When you don't obey God through me, you're worthless. And when you stick up your nose at me as a worthless dog, a true king, the true king that I am, the King of Kings, I detest that wrongdoing. For a throne is established in righteousness, and the righteous detest the dishonest, and the wicked have the nerve to detest the upright. That's why also Paul here, after Jesus was crucified, says these things. He goes on to say, their throats are open graves, they practice deceit. The poison of vipers is on their lips, their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness. He's quoting Psalms. However, he's also judging them. He's coming into the spirit of judging them with the person who wrote Psalms. And with the righteous is the argument being made. Their feet are swift to shed blood, ruin and misery mark their ways. Now you say, well, some of these people are rich. Some of these people aren't targeted while I am targeted. Well, look at it carefully, right? Ruin is a play on words for you're in. You're going down. You're going to hell. You're going into the earth instead of overcoming and transcending and ascending. Misery, right? Misary. This one's a little more confusing for a lot of you. The word misary is also a play on words for, misery is also a play on words for why. You see, magic, why, Aries. Aries is another name for Christ. by the Son of God coming from the sky. In Igbo culture, Chukwu son Eri, the Skywalker, came to earth. Okay? To do the right thing, to do holy things, to do God's work. And so in that culture, the word being used, Eri, is something that the people who wrote this stuff also wrote, because Amos 9:7, because Nahum 3, because of the proverbial saying, Nimrod, a mighty warrior before the Lord. So when the Jews and the other people in the occult, or whoever wrote the wordplay, looked at the situation, they said, okay, the word Eri, like Haro Aries in Egypt, must be another word for the Son of God. It's how you interpret it. The Bible says, woe to you who call good evil and evil good. Well, figure out what is actually good. Why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? Stop judging by mere appearances. Instead, judge correctly. Analyze carefully. Who's in the right? Me or Bibi Netanyahu or the rabbis or the people in church? Who's in the right? And figure out exactly why. And keep in mind, they have no viable counterargument. It says in John 3, I believe it is, the one who's doing God's work comes into the light so that it may be seen plainly. The word being used is plainly. Not in some kind of occult manner, plainly. That his deeds have been done to glorify God, that he does the work of God, what have you. It's in John 3, if I'm not mistaken. I have thousands of videos that I'm putting out there to the best of my ability. Am I suppressing them, or are they trying to suppress me? Am I coming into the light, or are they? If they lose that test, what more do you need to know? I'll just discard what they say and listen to what I say. But if they want to come into the light and debate me fair and square with no gimmicks, no nonsense behind the scenes, no trickery, then hear them out. But they're not doing that. And as a result, the bootlicker pittance they have with their social status, with their money, with their fan club, their Simpson, Jetson, Rick and Morty, Ren and Stimpy, Cow and Chicken fan club, is less than a bootlicker's pittance. In fact, they seek the praise of cowards and worms and lemmings and sheeple. Why seek the praise of God and the mightiest warriors that God has ever created and all the righteous? For so many reasons, you should know that I'm the truth and they are mere deceivers. In their inability to man up, they find their spirit, and wickedness overthrows the sinner.